Malasudam Kumbha Vibodha Mudra Vidya Virajata Karavari Jatam Apara Karunya Sudamburashim Sri Sharadamba Pranatosmi Sityam, seeking the benediction of Jagannmata Sharada Parameshwari, that repository of all that is knowledge, tradition, art, fine art, wisdom and learning, I bow to her as I commence my address today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this pleasant and solemn function organized this morning to celebrate a milestone in the annals of the SIES College of Arts, Science and Commerce. Life is not just of milestones, but moments as well. It is the glory of these moments that we cherish as we celebrate. Any excuse for celebration is fine. Celebrations essentially are of two types. One as a thanksgiving to the divine for having brought us this far, and the second is to leave the past behind and move forward in life, knowing full well that this life is eternal. Life, my dear friends, is like a Christmas tree, evergreen. No snow or storm can weather its petal. So too is human spirit, which passes through several clouds of adversity during the life journey of a person and emerges triumphant and stronger each time it comes out. By its very nature, human spirit is celebration. Not all celebrations are partying, but if there is a purpose attached to that celebration, then that celebration becomes significant and sacred. Then the body, mind and the soul are in unison. An occasion like this is also of nostalgia down the memory lane. On the 19th of June 1960, the SIES College of Arts, Science and Commerce was inaugurated by the then Chief Minister, the first Chief Minister of the newborn state, Sri Yashwantrao Chauhan. As he came over to this institution on that day and inaugurated, this was the first private function that he had after having taken up as the first Chief Minister of the newborn state. He observed that the South Indian Education Society's college is the gift of South Indians to the newborn state. For 58 long years since then till today, SIS has committed itself to the cause of education with full vigor and intensity. It has not only empowered the students through the learning process that it had, but it has converted virile boyhood into manhood, graduating in later years to useful citizenry, which have become building blocks for the progress of the nation. And when I speak about masculine gender, it equally applies to the feminine gender as well. Singularly, SIS is the only institution which has contributed so much to the leadership of the University of Mumbai, the mother university of this college. Sri T.V. Chidambaran, the former president of our institution and who was the founder of this institution, was the registrar of the University of Mumbai for 33 long years. And during that innings of more than 3 decades, the pivot and the axis around which the entire university revolved was the registrar's office. Neither before nor later have we got a tenure of any registrar, which is a fraction of the period that he held with distinction for this university. Professor Ram Joshi was the principal of the college for 17 long years. He then went over to the university as the vice chancellor in the year 1977, and for 6 long years he held on to the mantle of the leadership of the university. Those were turbulent times. The emergency had just gone away and the student unrest was to speak. With his visionary leadership, he steered the university to shores of safety during those days. It is this connect between the college and its mother university that transcends far more than a conventional relationship between a college and an affiliating body of an university. And today we are being called upon to redefine that relationship and to lower our expectations from the mother university in the context of the autonomy that has been granted to the SIES College of Arts, Science and Commerce. The Greek philosopher in the pre-Socrates era, Heraclitus, once said, "Change is the only constant." It applies equally well, absolutely, for higher education system in India. Ever since India gave unto the world the concept of university, and the first university, Takshashila, was born, soon followed by the renowned Nalanda University, India has been defined as a land of opportunities for learning, which had created brilliant minds that had given so many discoveries that has made life in this planet Earth not only livable, but pleasurable as well. In the year 1857, we had 3 presidencies in the country, And there were 3 universities in those presidency, the Bombay presidency, the Madras presidency, and the Calcutta presidency. There were 27 autonomous colleges, independent colleges, we don't call them as autonomy then, which were functioning at that point of time. In 1857, these 27 colleges were brought based on the geographical location within the linkages to the universities, these 3 universities, and thus was born the university system in the country. Today, it does not require a visionary to tell you that the ratio between the universities and the colleges is more than skewed. There are 789 universities and 37,402 colleges as per the last published report of UGC. I am sure it would have expanded by the time I am speaking as well. Take the case of our own mother university. There are more than 750 colleges affiliated to the university, and its span of control extends from the extreme end of Savantwadi in Ratnagiri district, bordering Goa. It cuts across Sindhudurg, comes over to Raigad, then to Thane, Navi Mumbai, Mumbai, and then takes the western corridor and goes right up to Achad and Manor on the borders of Surat in Gujarat. Such a monolith can never have a span of control on such a vast expanse of land. It is because of this urban agglomeration expansion, not only in Mumbai, elsewhere, in all the major urban cities of universities and colleges that had sprung up during that time, that gave the call for autonomy, that ensured that also well-run colleges, efficiently managed colleges, are delinked from the day-to-day micro-supervision of the university so that the universities can concentrate on also ran colleges. Autonomy is not a panacea for all ills. Autonomy certainly does not guarantee academic excellence and quality by itself. There is a very thin line which divides between use and abuse of autonomy. Access, affordability, and quality are the 3 big challenges facing developing nations all across the globe without exception, and particularly large functional democracies like India. It is the biggest challenge as far as higher education is concerned. Autonomy brings in expectation on all the stakeholders, and therefore there is an immediate requirement for upgrading the retiring assets of the institutions, condemn some of them, overhaul some of them, bring in new assets, impute new technologies into the academic delivery systems. All these things call for substantial investments. If all these investments were to be transferred as fees to the students, the fees will reach sky high, and then the entire system will be out of bounds of the ordinary middle class, the lower and the marginalized section of the society. The very purpose of autonomy would have been destroyed. Ever since autonomy came into the statute books of this country, there have been several approach papers that have been brought about, seminars, discussions on what is that line between affordability and the acceptable fees in the university education system. Professor Balakrishna Mungekar, who was the former Vice Chancellor of our university, who later became a member of the Planning Commission and further later as member of the Rajya Sabha in one of his approach papers, said that the fees should be capped at 20% of the total revenue of an autonomous institution. I can tell you with great certainty that would have brought death knell to every institution that would have claimed autonomy then. It was during those 20 years the mindsets all across were so narrow and constricted that autonomy never took off, except a few colleges in the southern part of the country which opted for autonomy. Otherwise it was a non-starter. Winds of change are blowing across the corridors of powers in the Human Resource Development Ministry. At long last, the ministry has been able to see through the prism of the functioning of most well-developed institutions of higher learning all across the world. A plethora of reforms have been unleashed by the HRD ministry, only one of which is autonomy. But the good aspect of this change that they brought about is under RUSA, they have also allowed a one-time grant at the beginning of 5 crores for the autonomous institutions. I am sure such a grant is sufficient enough not to burden the student community in an autonomous institution where fees will go up if we were to make all those investments. Be it the SIES decided to embrace autonomy much before it came to us. So we started spending, we have already spent 6 crores rupees now. And therefore when RUSA grant comes, all other departments, laboratories will all be modernized, and we would have digitized the entire thing and upgraded the college to what the students deserve. What then is the ideal model for an autonomous institution. Take the case of Indian judiciary. Every penny, both on the capital account and the revenue account, is drawn from the taxpayers' money, from the consolidated funds of both the states and the union. And yet, the judiciary is completely independent of the executive and the legislature. I am not for a moment suggesting that degree of independence for autonomous institutions. But what I am calling for is graded autonomy. The best of best autonomous institutions which are able to compete with the world's best, and therefore sooner or later they will emerge, as the Prime Minister said, within the first 100 universities or colleges in the world. I think they should enjoy independence no less than that of the university. And that is the call of autonomy. Now, it is not necessarily funds which will change the success altar of autonomy. We need a complete change in the mindset, a 360 degrees turn from our outlook to education. If ever we were to believe that universities and the departments of higher education or education in the governments were to function as regulators, not only autonomy, the state of Indian education will remain the same. They have to change over from regulators to facilitators. And if they have to do, I think we need an inner vision to look inside and see how well we can do that. Today we have both the Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor present over here today. Already 10 colleges have opted for autonomy and many more are in the line. If ever we think that autonomy has to take off and show and lead an example for the rest of the country from the city of Mumbai, I think it's time for our university to have a separate department for autonomous colleges and pack it with enlightened, bright minds who will be able to see the benefits of autonomy for the student community and work hand in hand with the autonomous institutions as if they are the first extension of the university. We are beholden to Sri Vidyasagar Rao, the Honorable Governor of our state. This is the first occasion that he has come to the SIES College of Arts, Science and Commerce. He came to the SIES High School last year in the month of December to inaugurate the exhibition on Prithvi by the kids of the school. Ever since he has occupied the position of governor of this state, he has been proactive as far as higher education is concerned. All the headless universities under his charge, soon through a process of selection, got vice chancellors who are now able to lead and guide the institution. Wherever vice chancellors' functioning was below expectation, he was quick enough to replace them and ensure continuity by getting in vice chancellors who will be able to fulfill the expectations of all the stakeholders of the university. Not only that, he is very uniquely placed. As the governor of this state, there is no other governor anywhere in the country who has got powers, including the President of India, as much as the governor of Maharashtra enjoys. That is basically because of the backward area development zones of those Konkan, Aurangabad and Vidarbha, which come within his control, free of the executive and the legislature, including financial autonomy for the governor of the state. And he has been taking extremely active interest as far as school education is concerned for the marginalized sections of the society in these backward areas, particularly the tribal children. We at the SIES have, in a small way, put our chip into the work that the governor is doing in these backward areas by adopting 2 schools in villages in Yavatmal and Nanded to be upgraded into smart schools. And I am promising the governor that before 31st of March next year, these smart schools will be functioning. Not only that, last year he had a round table with the chieftains of industry. He wanted them to put deep into their pockets and take out monies from their ISR funds, the CSR funds, so that a world-class infrastructure for the Kalina campus of our university will come into being. We pray for the success of his efforts. We are equally happy that we have our Vice Chancellor who has come to grace this function. I think his shoulders are broad enough to take the responsibilities of this university. There is much to be done. And if the Vice Chancellor were to even tell us, I don't want to move out of my office, I think we should understand. The university has gone to its nadir. And if it cannot bring back the examination system to a regular mode of declaring it those days, I don't know the act now, within 45 days of the examinations, and also get the renewal of NAC back with the highest rating for this university, then this would be the greatest thing that can be done. Today is also a day of remembrance, and that's why the governor came and inaugurated the library named after Professor Ramanathan. It's also homecoming for the alumnus of this institution. He stayed only 3 buildings away, but it took him 35 years to come back to this college. But what a grand way to come back, to give you instruments worth 25 lakhs of rupees and also pledge a donation of 1 crore rupees for the SIES College of Pharmacy as and when it comes into being. As I come to the end of my address this evening, I have a special word of praise for the teaching faculty of this institution. They have embraced autonomy with open arms. Together we shall make a difference and take this institution to greater heights of glory in the years ahead. Thank you.